がこの距離で狙撃するとは。
Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt is one of the most entertaining Gundam anime series to watch by far, and being able to enjoy anime series such as this really makes me proud to be a Gundam fan. So there was so many things in this episode that I would like to talk about, but my mind is just still recovering from, well, the sadness and excitement that it's experienced by watching this literally like 20 minutes ago. So let's just be simple and just take it from the top, I guess. So we're starting from the beginning, and this is when Fleming is just, having, I think, a nightmare about his father committing suicide. And, I've heard from many people that over the course of the 4 episodes, that Fleming starts to become a more likable character. And this was really the only thing that I, saw in this entire episode, really, that would just make me feel a bit more, or have pity for him, really. The remainder of the episode, he wasn't really featured, and this episode as a whole was really about Daryl, because it just showed how he was basically a product of the Zeon War, because his limbs were literally all taking off. He has no legs, he has no arms, he is literally just like a torso with a head, and it's just so degrading to look at, really. And that's the reason why I said that my mind was still left in a state of depression after watching this, because it was just so sad to look at, man. I mean, honestly, it was really fucking depressing. And guys, I think what even triggered this like depression in the first place was how in the beginning of the episode, when Daryl was in that simulation, he was thinking back to his childhood before he was even involved in the Zeon War, having the time of his life on the beach, running around with his legs, of course, next to his family, and overall just enjoying himself. And then it moves on to where he was basically, I believe, a little bit younger, and he was in the front lines on foot with an AR in his hands, and he was in actual combat. And then you see an explosion, like, literally comes in contact on him, and he wakes up in the hospital or like some medical room or whatever, and he's missing his legs, and you really are just like, oh man, this is one of those episodes where we're gonna be a very, very depressed audience. Okay, I think we've talked enough about Daryl being pretty much like a charity case so far in this episode review, but we're gonna talk about him even more because it gets only worse in the future, like right after the sniper fight. So let's actually talk about how Fleming was just a complete demon out in the battlefield, and also how he was literally lucky as fuck. And what I mean by that is Daryl was actually about to kill him, or at least damage him significantly, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, lightning just strikes and he's saved. I mean, like, that is literally the most luckiest shit I have possibly ever seen in any Gundam series. Well, except that one time in Gundam Seed where he just latched onto Kira and Strike, and also that one time in Seed Destiny where Shin impaled Kira, but yeah, Seed doesn't have any logic, so let's just leave that at that and not talk about Seed, because I know where that's gonna go, and usually that is not a good place to go. In addition to Fleming being a complete demon in the battlefield and getting saved by lightning, he was also a huge savage, because he uses Sean as a meat shield to get closer to Daryl, and then throws Sean and blows him up and creates this huge explosion right in Daryl's face. And then he just literally wrecks the other sniper. I forgot his name, but he was usually just complaining and yelling the entire time, so I guess we really shouldn't care about him. But then he flanks Daryl, and Daryl's like, oh no, he's right behind me, evacuate sniper station. And then he pins down Daryl. And then, as we, were thinking that he could potentially kill Daryl, of course we can't have Daryl die in, the second episode, that would just suck. Daryl pulls out a hand grenade, I think that's what it is, and you see this flash, and Fleming's like, oh, danger zone, let's get out of here. And then you can see it's significantly, well, not significantly, it somewhat damaged the full armor Gundam. And Daryl was just, he pretty much passed out, I believe, from that effect. And then he wakes up, and because of that explosion, or whatever the hell that was, he was just missing his left arm, and he was just like, oh man, and he started screaming. It was pretty sad to watch, really. And what makes this even worse, and this is what I was, referring to when I said we're gonna get back to this and it gets only more worse, was that the scientist suggested to Dr. Carla that, she cut off Daryl's right arm. Even Dr. Carla was just saying, what is he, some sort of lab rat to the scientists? And she was just very, very depressed about the whole procedure. And even when it was completed, she was just mortified by what she's done to Daryl. Just so Daryl can use the Zaku 2 high mobility type that has the reuse Psycho Drive installed onto it. And by the way, this Zaku looks so fucking sick. It's like one of those like bulky, highly armored Zaku 2s, which is one of the main reasons why I love the mechs that are in Thunderbolt. So as a final note in regards to the events that have happened in episode 2 of Thunderbolt, Daryl is more than ever willing to defeat Fleming. He really fucking hates the full armor Gundam because it's killed his friends, and of course is a reason why he looks like a complete abomination. So you bet your ass he really is wanting to just defeat Fleming with all of his heart. So anyways, in regards to character development, Fleming hasn't really progressed that much, really. He's still this cocky guy that gets a high off of piloting the full armor Gundam. And as for Daryl, this episode, like I said before, was pretty much dedicated towards him, and he's developed quite a bit since the start of this episode, and I really like that. So I really hope in the third episode of Thunderbolt, it's really geared towards showing some traits for Fleming and exposing a side to the audience that we haven't really seen before. As for my overall impressions for this episode, of course I enjoyed it. This is Gundam Thunderbolt. It's a very hard series not to enjoy. And what I really got out of this episode was an answer to a lingering question that I had from the first one, which was, how did Daryl lose his legs? And that was answered, so I'm pretty satisfied. So anyways, that's it for this episode review, guys. Let me know how you thought about it down below in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later.
舞い落ちる花